Hello, I'm Harry Hobson, President and CEO of Plymouth Harbor.
And I'm Karen Novak, the Administrator for Strategic Healthcare Initiatives here at Plymouth Harbor.
Okay, uh, thank you, Karen. Karen, we're going to go ahead and give another update today, but this video is going to be a little bit different, and I'll let folks know that up front. We felt it was a good idea to give, again, a campus update. We're going to talk a little bit more about the flu shot and maybe some of the myths that surround the flu shot. But the second part of the video, we're going to repeat that again. We've gotten more requests, and that's for the introduction of Curtis Cornell, who's our Director of Dining Services, who joined us about a week ago. So we will, following our update, we'll transition very quickly into the meeting of Curtis, and I think you'll enjoy that quite a bit. Okay. So, Karen, let's go ahead and get started with our campus update.
Again, it's very nice to say it's a short and sweet update. We have no residents that are positive, and we have no staff members that are positive. Our positivity rate in the county of Sarasota remains at 2.744 today. Now, Monday, we're really going to look at that rate because that will help determine how often we're going to be testing the staff here at Plymouth Harbor.
Right. So, again, everything seems to be going well, and I think that's going to pay off here soon, as we spoke in our earlier video about gradually opening up some of the other venues, like having some visitors come on campus. We'll talk more about that late next week.
And again, thank you for complying with all those parameters that we've had in place now for a number of months. Without your help, this would not have been possible to be able to think about opening up for independent living, the dining room, and other areas within Plymouth Harbor. So keep up that good work.
Good. Karen, we had our team member meeting yesterday and talked about quite a few things. One of the highlights of that was to also talk about the upcoming season. And I'm not talking about football, but I'm talking about flu season. And I think it's all over the news as far as how challenging this fall and winter is going to be. And during that conversation yesterday, I just found it interesting as people were getting into some questions and maybe some responses on the flu shot. So I went last evening to something I look at fairly often, and that's through the Harvard Medical School. And I looked at a few of the flu myths. And I thought that would be a good idea to maybe chat a little bit about that today. Before I go through a few of those, Karen, update us, if you would, regarding the flu vaccine and when that's going to be available to both our residents and also our team members.
This year, we're going to be using a high-dose quadrivalent vaccination for our residents. Now, the quadrivalent actually takes the two most common strains of the virus from flu A and flu B and merges them together. So it gives us a very good opportunity to really hit what was really considered high risk last year for flu and put it into a vaccine. So hopefully it will address the flu this year. It's a quadrivalent high dose for the residents here at Plymouth Harbor. We will be having our flu vaccine clinic on October 1st. It will be in the club room, just like it has been the past few years. This year will be a little bit different. We're really going to keep an eye on that social distance. So you'll notice things will be just a little bit different in there. We don't have access to having that kitchen area because that's now an office for dining services rather. And we'll have a privacy curtain that will be able to administer the vaccinations behind. Our staff, once we get the residents all vaccinated with the flu clinic, will actually roll out Erica to the various departments, and she will go from department to department getting the vaccines for our staff. We're very lucky and very fortunate to have Erica on board here in home care to be able to do that. Stay tuned. She'll be around to those departments.
Yeah, occasionally we'll get the question from a resident, now, do they have to pay for this flu vaccine? And how do you respond to that?
You know, we bill it through Medicare. Sandy Atayo and Justin Leathers have already gotten the heads up that we're going to be doing this on October 1st. So they are well prepared and ready to go.
Right. And then regarding our team members, basically the same thing. There'll be no charge to our team member. That's part of our health insurance. So.
Absolutely. You know, we want to make sure that everybody does get that vaccination this year. This year, it's so important, especially when we have COVID running simultaneous with this flu vaccine or the flu season. The flu vaccine is so very important. I think that you will find most of the epidemiologists and most of the real true medical experts in the NIH and the CDC and the FDA are really saying, do get your vaccination this year. If ever there's a time to get it, this year is indeed one of them.
Well, it sure is. Karen, I'm going to go through some of these. I'll state the myth and ask you if you would comment on each one of those. And as you would expect, the first one that always comes up is you can catch the flu from the vaccine.
Well, the vaccine is actually an inactivated virus or a dead virus. It's not anything that's alive. It's meant to be that way so that you don't get any kind of virus inside your body or active virus inside your body. You might get a little sore in your arm because it is a muscular injection, and it does kind of break that muscle tissue. But other than that, you really should not have any kind of signs and symptoms of the flu.
You know, one comment we heard yesterday at the team meeting was, I've always been healthy. Therefore, I don't feel as though I really need to take the flu vaccine. How do you respond to that?
You know, it's a good thing that you have been healthy. We'd like to keep you healthy. We really recommend strongly that you do indeed get that flu vaccine. Should you acquire that flu virus, we're hoping that with that vaccine on board, it will not be a terrible case that you get. But again, you've had some kind of exposure with that vaccine. So hopefully those antibodies that you're building up against that virus will indeed work and keep you nice and healthy throughout the season.
And to some extent, you answered the next myth that's out there, and that is getting the flu vaccine is really all you need to do to avoid the flu.
But we want to make sure that, you know, you too respect that social distance and wash your hands, cover your cough. That cough etiquette is definitely important. But since COVID is here, we all have been using a mask anyway, so that too is going to help prevent that spread of infection. So COVID, with some of the parameters that we have here in place, is almost helping us with some interventions for the flu season itself.
You know, over the last 7 months, one of the words that's been used over and over again, and prior to this time, I'm sure many people never even used the word, and that's asymptomatic. Okay.
Asymptomatic, absolutely. You know, asymptomatic is that you've got the virus, be it the flu or COVID, but you're not exerting any kind of symptoms that we can see. Meaning your body is positive, the virus is inside you, but you have no headache, no fever, no cough, no runny nose, no loss of taste. But again, you still have that virus.
And you know, to be honest with you, I had never thought about that before until we've been going through COVID. So just what you're saying is just because I feel good doesn't mean that I'm not carrying that virus around as the flu. So
we know that. Yeah, we know that 40% of people that are positive for COVID are definitely asymptomatic. Now, we're not sure about the positivity rate for flu, but there are a large number of people that are asymptomatic that still may have the flu. And that's how that flu spreads quite quickly within our environment.
Okay, and I hope there's not too many children watching this video, because I'm going to have to ask you about a myth, and I found out it is a myth. I remember growing up and my mother would say, you've got to bundle up, it's cold outside, or you're going to catch the flu. Is that a myth?
It is indeed a myth. The only way that you're going to catch the flu is if you were exposed to the virus itself. And that's usually by way of inhalation or touching, just like we do with COVID. Actually, it's a contact organism. It's made by, or it's droplet precautions, meaning that droplet of that flu virus is going to land around somewhere close to you if someone has it, and then you're going to touch an area and then have an indirect contact with that virus and bring it into either your mouth, your nose, your eyes. Children are so susceptible to it too, because they like to play with their face, and a lot of times, they're either rubbing their nose or rubbing their eyes or sticking their fingers in their mouth. So they are a great host for the flu virus itself.
The last myth I'd like to present today, and just let me read it because I think many of them heard this over the years. If you have a high fever with the flu that lasts more than a day or two, antibiotics may be necessary.
Well, the flu is a virus, and antibiotics work against bacterial. You can have a secondary bacterial infection, maybe like a respiratory infection, with the virus itself, but the virus is going to run its course, so we try to treat the symptoms. Always increasing your fluid intake is a great idea. We treat the fever with a medication that will help bring that temperature down. If you've got a cough, depending on if it's loose or if it's really kind of very tight, we'll either give you an expectorant or a suppressant, whatever your doctor feels is appropriate for you at that particular time. But again, a bacteria is for antibiotics, and the virus, we're going to treat the symptoms.
Okay. So I'm going to end this portion on this by going right back to the first one, because that's the one over and over again. And remember, you cannot catch the flu from the vaccine.
Absolutely. It's that direct exposure or indirect contact to that virus that's going to give you the actual flu itself.
Okay. Karen, thank you. And as I mentioned going into this video, what we're going to do now, and I hope the audience will stay with us, because we would like to introduce our newest team member, and Curtis Cornell is our Director of Dining Services, and he just joined us a week ago, and I think you'll enjoy this interview. Thank you. Well, what I'd like to do is ask everybody to stay with me, and I'd like to invite into our meeting right now a new member of our team. And I'd like to officially welcome Curtis Cornell. Curtis is our Director of Dining Services here at Plymouth Harbor. And Curtis, you've just completed your first full week. How'd it go?
It went great, I tell you. And just by the looks of the Year 2 office, I see that I need to spruce mine up a little bit. And just to give you an idea of what I got to walk into, this was great. So I'm going to put this right back here.
And hopefully you felt the welcome.
Yes, I did. It was amazing. It was such a great, warm welcoming. As I walked through the halls, from the residents to the team members, it was truly a warm, welcoming experience. And you can't write a script any better than that. So I thank you very much for setting all that up. And it's a great opportunity. I'm great that I'm here.
Outstanding. And for those that don't know, Chef Renee, who was with us about 10 years, retired about 3, maybe going on 4 months ago now. And we did conduct a national search, and we feel very fortunate to cross our paths with Curtis. And after a long interview process, I'm not sure how many times we had you on and off campus and Zooming, and you also had the opportunity to interact with our dining committee as well during that vetting process. But we're very pleased that we chose each other and looking forward to a long relationship. Curtis, tell folks a little bit about yourself. Give us some background.
Well, I'm the youngest of 7, raised by a single mom. I was born in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. So being near the water has always been something that has always been a passion of mine. It's always driven me back. Raised in Kentucky, lived in a little coal mining town there. Then back to Florida. graduated high school up near Chicago, and then after about half a year up there in my first winter experience, what true Chicago, the Windy City weather was like, I was like, I got to get out of here. This is too cold for this Florida blood. So came back down to Tennessee for a brief while, back down to the Panhandle of Florida, Orlando, Key West, and then up to South Carolina. And now I've landed where I've wanted to be for a very long time, was in the Tampa, Sarasota area. And after having the opportunity to kind of travel from St. Pete to Tampa during these odd times, really Sarasota was somewhere where I was really pointing my finger at the map. And when the opportunity came up to apply for the position, I read the job description, and it was something that was a little bit outside of the wheelhouse from in regards to coming from the resort industry into more of the medical field. It really started to speak to me and said, wow, where can I make a really, really strong impact and become part of something bigger than myself and provide an experience for dining for a captive audience and kind of share with some of the things that I've learned over the course of my career and to bring in this environment was something that was really attractive to me whenever I was reading over the job description and also looking over the website. And I tell you, if you haven't been to the Plymouth Harbor website, you should go look at it, because it'll make you want to be here even when you're here, because the panoramic views are just incredible place to be. It's actually really uplifting.
Well, yeah, Curtis, we're so pleased to have you here. I know as oftentimes we find people in this area, you had some good experience with the Disney World resorts. That always is important, because you really have the opportunity to work. The expectations on quality are there, hospitality is there, and that's what we were looking for. We've got such a great team here. Most of the residents are certainly familiar with Franco and Carlos and Tasha and Debbie and the list goes on and on. And it was important to bring you here to help pull all of this together. And I know, because I asked you in your interview about being a team player and a team leader. And I don't know if you want to comment on how you look at team play.
Well, I think it's integral, right? And I think the question that the conversation that we were having was, are leaders born or are they made? And I think it's a little bit of a combination of both, but the leader doesn't make themselves. So people that are around them make them leaders, because all of a sudden they're coming to you and they're wanting you to fix all their problems or answer their questions. But it does take a team mentality. Regardless, if you're the captain of the team, you have to bring along everybody with you, because you can't do it all by yourself. And that was one of the other things that really made this position very attractive to me, is whenever I had the opportunity to speak with Carlos and Franco during the interview process, because during the conversation I had with them, I was interviewing them just as much as they were interviewing me, whether they know it or not, because it's a mutual relationship. I can choose to come here and they can choose to have me. And the conversations I was having with them was, there's these two ember fires ready to just take off. They know the direction that they want to go. And from the brief time that they've had the opportunity to make some changes, they've made some changes, and it's showing for the positive. So now it's part of my responsibility to come in and support them and give them guidance and push the dining services department into a direction it hasn't been going before, and showing new light. So I was super excited to have two passionate leaders within the department, because if that's where the leadership is, everybody else is behind them, blazing the trail with them. And I can't wait to get that all started for them and support them in the right way.
And I did want to spend time during our interview process on leadership, because I call it the leadership sandwich, and I think it's important, because I don't know when any of us stop looking toward being mentored. Okay, but the other side of that sandwich is being a mentor and bringing other people along, and I felt that was important as you joined our family here at Plymouth Harbor. Because we've got some real good people that through ongoing mentoring, they're going to progress and progress with our organization as well. And you sold us on the fact that yes, you do listen, and you also reach out and develop people.
Yeah, I think it's a guilty pleasure of leadership, right? You identify some things that people don't see in themselves, and all you have to do is give them that gentle nudge, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Wow, I can do this." And whenever you have someone, whether it's finishing school or getting the job promotion or just being successful in life, it's kind of one of those things where you get to kind of sit back and you can say, I think I might have had just a little bit, just a fraction to do with all of that. But of course, the individual has to take it the whole way. But it is a guilty pleasure of leadership that I find ultimately probably the most rewarding part about being a leader.
Music to my ears. I mentioned in our last update, and I'll continue to mention it, and Curtis, is something that you're not real familiar with, but I promised to our residents, and that is, I think our last cafe chat, Karen, was February 27th, I believe. And we're actually going to start that up again. And the way we're going to do it is a little different format. And in about 2 weeks, and the residents, those residents who've joined our family in 2020 will be receiving an invitation, along with the Resident Association leadership, to join me in a cafe chat. And I wanted to start it that way because, quite candidly, the last 7 months, I've not had the opportunity to really get to know so many of the residents, the new residents. That's going to give us that opportunity. It's a great venue. Looking forward to it. I will be following that up then with at least 2 more cafe chats where we'll take different portions of the campus, so we have kind of a controlled environment. And you know, I always look, as I'm doing right now, to Karen. If she's smiling when I say this, that's okay. But if I don't follow social distancing, then that smile turns different.
Yes,
So,
it does.
so I will be working.
One of the first times I met with Curtis, he passed immediately because I gave him a pack of surgical masks and KN95s, and he took them with great joy. So that tickled my heart.
Great. Curtis, I know, and our residents are listening very intently. In fact, some of them right now are moving to the edge of their chair because as we talk about reopening the Mayflower dining room, and other venues in the campus, that's very important. It's very important we do it right. And I know that you and the leadership, your team, have had this discussion. And while we can't give the details, obviously we know a little more than we're going to share today, but that's very important to you and your team. You shared with me earlier as far as reopening with controls.
Absolutely. You know, the team members are so excited to get back to business as usual. And that business as usual, I mean, it's we talk about the mutual relationship, them coming in the job, part of the joy that they get, and that's the reason why they chose this profession, is the interaction with people as well. So just as much as the residents want to get back into the dining rooms and get back to the social portion of a dining experience, the service staff is also just as equally eager because they want to get out there and they want to share their stories. They want to interact with the residents and also provide some exceptional customer service and deliver some extraordinary food as well. With the new atmosphere that we're kind of entering into, yes, it's going to be a little bit different of a dining experience. There's going to have to be practiced social distancing. The tables we have already removed. If you've had the opportunity to tour around the campus in the dining room, you'll see that there's far less tables than there was during the normal dinner service. That allows us to keep everyone safe. That allows us to practice serving according to the regulations to keep everyone safe. And that's our ultimate goal at the end of the day, is to keep everyone safe and to keep everybody fed and happy. Right. And so, but also become part of that dining experience. And I know that whenever I return back to the dining scene, I just want to be able to people watch just like how we always did, and also congregate and meet with friends and have those conversations and catch up. But it's going to be very, very, very important that we practice those social distancing guidelines so we can continue to move forward with the other dining openings. Not quite sure when all those are going to happen yet, but this is going to be a great indicator on how successful we are from a service staff, and also how our residents are from this new opportunity coming back down and enjoying the Mayflower Dining Room.
You know, I think that what's been important over the last several months now, and that is how our residents have experienced a different menu, something that has a little more variety to it, and I know that's very important. But the other thing I also want to mention to many of our residents and their families, and that is the importance of seaside assisted living, the Star Memory Care residences as well, because we will be embracing and continue to embrace dining experience in those areas as well. So it's not just all about independent living. It's also about the Smith Care Center, our nursing home, Seaside Assisted Living, and the Star Memory Care residences. So pretty comprehensive in nature, and we're going to get it done. We're excited about it. So, and I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add, Curtis, at this point before we close.
No, I look forward to meeting every one of the residents. Everyone that I've had an opportunity to speak with so far has been fantastic. I've gotten some great feedback, some great phone calls, and some emails. Someone who actually taught at the high school that I went for my freshman and sophomore year, and I actually just sent her, she sent me a copy of her yearbook that I guess was back in the 1950s, and I sent her my yearbook from 1993. But if you see me walking around, I'm the tall guy with the mask on. But if you see me, please don't hesitate to stop me. I would love to catch up with you. I'm on your time, so don't worry about me. But I would love to just make sure that if you want to have a conversation with me, I'm always open to have that talk.
Oh, that's wonderful. And you know, we've been successful with Eric Hugan in our HR department. He's been really a very good recruiter for us. And Karen, I know, in fact, we're in a recruiting process right now, and that's going very, very busy right now. We've not yet found the ideal candidate, but that's for a director of nursing position that we have here in our home care department. And because Heather Dawn has moved over into care management as the director of nursing, that has now opened up that position. So I know we're excited to find just that right person. It's a great job as a director of home care. So
Yes, you get the opportunity to interact with so many of our residents and really keep them involved and know where they're at and follow them throughout the continuum of care here at Plymouth Harbor. It's an exciting job. No 2 days are the same, and we are actively looking for an incredible dynamic DON.
So we look forward to when we'll bring that person in as a special guest, as we did Curtis today.
Absolutely.
So Curtis, what we do at this point is I kind of lean over toward Karen and ask her if you'd like to close this video out today. What would you say?
Absolutely, I would love to. We want to remind everybody, please take the time to wash your hands. Take those few extra seconds to really get in there with that soap and lather. We want you to hit those high contact areas, the light switches, your keys, and those cell phones. Wipe them down quite often to get rid of all those germs. Remember to keep that social distance, and it's okay to tell somebody to back up. Remember, it's your safety that you're looking out for. But most importantly, in a time where you can make a difference, we're going to use this as a tool now and a step to help us get rid of this COVID virus. So if everybody will just wear their mask, we can help reduce that rate down terrifically. Most well. That didn't come out right, but wear your mask. It's going to really help us in the long run.
Karen, thank you very much. Curtis, one more time, welcome, and so happy you joined us on today's update.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
That brings the end of this video, so it's time for us to don our masks.